that are relevant to company code. Apart from that, we also have completed the ledger concept. I mean, not completely, just we have seen what is an extension ledger. Earlier, we used to call it as appendix ledger. Now, the same thing is changed as extension ledger. The reason why they made it as extension ledger, because extension ledger has some other functionalities apart from the simulation ledger. They also have predictive ledger. Predictive ledger is the new concept in S4. Okay, which is a new concept in S4 system. Okay, so yes, so why do we require an extension ledger? Just to capture the the certain transaction into that extension ledger, and to that extension ledger we will have an underlying ledger. We will keep either a leading ledger or non-leading ledger. Okay, so we can keep either leading ledger or non-leading ledger. So that way, the transactions also get updated into the extension ledger of the leading ledger. And apart from that, if you want to make certain transactions into the extension ledger, we can also see that. The important point in this case, in the case of extension ledger, is, I mean, what exactly the difference between extension ledger and parallel ledger? Earlier, we used to have concept called parallel ledger. Of course, still we have, which takes care of the leading ledger and non-leading ledger. It means when we post a transaction, it updates in the leading ledger and non-leading ledgers. Now, what happens with that is the data storage space will be more. I mean, it occupies little more. The data will be updated in multiple ledgers, which is called as a duplicate. In a way, we can call it as duplicate. So to avoid that, we have a concept called extension ledger. It means if at all we are posting to a particular ledger, it gets a particular simulation ledger, it gets updated into that ledger only. And when we are posting the transactions from the other ledger, it updates in the other ledger. It means underlying ledger, and updates as a statistical kind of information in the simulation ledger. When we want to see our reports at the simulation ledger, we can able to see the complete details of the underlying ledger also. This is what on the whole a story of the what do you call, the ledgers. Okay, and it needs I mean, every simulation ledger, sorry, any ledger. Suppose if I talk about the leading ledger is compulsory, right, which is a mandatory thing, whereas a non-leading ledger is an optional. Similarly, the extension ledger is also an optional, but the important thing is extension ledger requires an underlying ledger. It can be a leading ledger or non-leading ledger. Someone is there in that, someone is using the system. Okay, that's fine. So extension ledger requires an underlying ledger. So this underlying ledger can be a leading ledger or can be a non-leading ledger. It can be of anything, but you cannot have the underlying ledger as a simulation ledger. You cannot keep simulation ledger as underlying ledger to the other uh, other ledger. Let me clarify here once I get into the system. So within that extension ledger, within that we have the other options, right? Predictive ledger, simulation ledger, of course, extension ledger. The one what we are discussing is something about the extension ledger. The predictive ledger is is a latest concept that we will be covering little later, because I don't know whether it is working perfectly in 1809, but it was not perfect in 1709. I'll have to check and see. But whereas a simulation ledger is useful in the case of foreign currency revaluations, basically it helps in our foreign currency revaluations. So we will be discussing that as part of our parallel currencies, as part of our parallel currencies. Right. Right. If you see over here, we have got AL and BL apart from 0L. Maintaining a 0L compulsory, it's a mandatory. The non-leading ledger and extension ledger, these are all optional. So how can I say a particular thing is a leading ledger or non-leading ledger or extension ledger? When you see the ledger code, you will not understand. When you see the ledger name, you will not understand. But when you see here leading and ledger type, there you will understand. When it is selected, it is considered as a leading ledger. And if you don't have this checkbox selected, we can say it is an extension ledger, or it can be a non-leading ledger. But how can we say it is a non-leading ledger? The ledger type, you can see this is called ledger, standard ledger. And if you see the extension ledger selected, it means it is a extension ledger. Now in this case, 0L is my leading ledger and AL is my non-leading ledger and BL is my extension ledger. And within that, I've still selected the extension ledger type as extension. And if I select a simulation ledger, yes, we can consider it as a simulation ledger, and otherwise we can consider it as a predictive ledger. The valuation is the new concept. We will have to discuss that. I'm not sure about, I've not worked on that. Now, the important thing is in the case of extension ledger, we will have to see the underlying ledger. It is important. You can consider either a leading ledger or non-leading ledger in the case of underlying ledger. Okay, you can consider either a leading ledger or non-leading ledger. This is the one that we were discussing about here. Okay, so valuation, that we will see later. Okay, we will see that later. Now we have just selected here all of them and going back. Okay, I'm going to be here because one step that we require as part of the parallel currencies. Now I'm trying to post the same transaction what we have done, what we tried to do in the last session. F-02. Okay, I'm going to F-02, taking the current date, and I'm just selecting document type as ACA. I think we have only the document number range for ACA. Okay, now 40 is my posting key and 5,20,000 is my GL. Just entering something like 7,500. Okay, and cost center. So we can consider any cost center, I mean the relevant cost center from the drop down list. So we have these many cost centers, we can select any one. Normally the name will be mentioned here. I have just mentioned it as a service cost center, but in fact we will have the name of the relevant cost center. Expenses and posting key 50. I'm selecting bank account 1,20,000. So in if you don't remember the amount that you have considered, you can just put it as a star. And in the case of text, we can enter plus, it gets copied. Okay, long text is not required. So we got the 7,500 and expenses. Now go to document, simulate, we will be fine here. But while saving the document, we can see an error. Customizing settings for ledgers for the universal journal. It says as a ledger, but typically it is not something relating to ledger. Let's see that. This is something relating to parallel currencies. So we have activated our parallel currency, right? So let me get into the controlling, general controlling, organization, maintain controlling area. Double click on maintain controlling area. Right here we have 1248. Our controlling area is 1248. Selecting the same, going into details, and if you see over here, our currency type is 30. It is nothing but a group currency. It is nothing but a group currency. So this is part of the parallel currencies. Okay, I'm just referring how are we going to get this group currency. So where do we maintain this group currency as USD? Here, the moment I considered here 30 as my group currency, automatically I'm getting this currency as USD. Okay, or else we can change if you want to. But the point is, how can we maintain the same thing? Where are we maintaining this? Normally, we will maintain in a transaction code called SCC4. There is a path for this, but I don't remember the path. We can figure that out. Our client is 800. In 800, the currency is maintained as USD. Now, whatever the currency is maintained here, that currency is considered as a group currency. So this is in the case of transaction code SCC4. Let's figure that out as well. SCC4. There is a path for it. Yeah, you can find it over here. So it's in easy access. I'll just minimize to avoid the confusion. So easy access, tools, administration, client administration, and SCC4, which is the client maintenance. Okay, client maintenance. So here we will maintain the client 800 and the currency. Whatever the currency we maintain over here, this is what we consider as group currency. And where do we maintain the hard currency? Where do we maintain the hard currency? Of course, it is not required, but I'm just showing that. So that way the currency type will be 30. The moment we can, this 30, these are all the standard ones. These are all standard ones. 10, 20, 30, right? 40, 50, and 60. These are all standard currency types. Okay, these are all the currency, the standard currencies available in standard SAP. So 10 is what we maintain at the company code level. During our company code configuration, we have maintained a currency that is what we call it as company code currency. Now, if you want to maintain your controlling area currency differently, what we will have to do here, we will have to select 20 and we can maintain a currency that is going to be our controlling area currency. The group currency we will maintain in a transaction code SCC4. And where do we maintain hard currency and where do we maintain global company code currency? I don't know about the index based currency. Okay, and where do we maintain global company currency? Let's see first hard currency, then after that we will see global company currency. So the hard currency is maintained at a country level, at a country level. So in NetWeaver, we can see a general settings and within that we have countries, set countries. You can find either any in any of these two. So let me just execute here. I'm selecting US. For USA, no, not here, not here, in the earlier step. So define countries. Yeah, the path for this is IMG, SAP NetWeaver, general settings, set countries, and define countries in my SAP systems. Here, select US, and whatever the currency we maintain here, that is considered as hard currency. Okay, this is considered as hard currency. So here it is maintained at a country level. Remember, in this particular country, let's say we have 10 company codes. It means all 10 company codes will have hard currency as CAD. Hard currency is maintained at country level, whereas group currency maintained at client level, SCC4. In this 800 system, if at all you have 1000 company codes of different, all will have USD only. So group currency is maintained at a client level, whereas the hard currency is maintained at a country level. Clear? The next we have is global company currency. So that is maintained in the enterprise structure definition at a company level. So define company. Let me select 1248, and I'm just selecting the same, going into details. Whatever the currency we have, that is called global currency. If you want, you can change to anything. Whatever the currency we have, that is considered as global currency. Just say global company currency. So that way we can have company code currency, controlling area currency, group currency, hard currency, and global company currency. So these are the types of company, currencies. I don't know about the index based currency, but I'll let you know that. I will let you know that. So basically what I'm trying to tell you here is, the moment we maintain here as global currency, the moment we maintain here as a currency, group currency, which is USD, automatically we have seen some changes automatically happened in the ledgers. Oh my God, someone is using. So we cannot change now. Okay, now if you see over here, the ledger, if I see the ledger and if I go into the company code and if I select 1248, so we found this here. We found this here. Correct? It happened automatically. We did not do this. It happened automatically. Now the important thing is, since this 30 is our global currency, sorry, group currency, the group currency needs to be maintained as part of currency types. Of course, this currency type is maintained, which is nothing but this SAP standard setting. We normally don't do anything. If you want, we can create. As I mentioned, this 10 is a company code currency, 0 is a document currency, and 20 is controlling area currency, 30 group currency, 40 hard currency, 60 global company currency and the other one is index based currency. These are all standard, remaining are all have been created. Okay, so make sure that particular currency type is maintained here in this. It means first we need to have currency type over here, and the next is we have to have in SEC4. Then after that we have to maintain that in our controlling area. This is what the sequence. We have to make sure it has to be here in this step, currency types step. Next is maintain in SEC4. Then after that maintain in controlling area settings. Now after that, double click on global currency conversion settings. Here we can see how are we doing our currencies. Okay, this again a kind of a standard. Of course we can add it over here, but we will see now. Next is, this is what the important step from the parallel currencies front. So currency conversion settings, double click here on this. Okay, if you see over here, for our company code, 1248, we are not finding 1248. We are not finding 1248 record at all here. Why do we require here? If you are just going by company code currency, it means you're not maintaining any global currency. Even in the case of maintain controlling area settings, you're not selecting global currency as 30. I mean, the currency as, global currency. Still there you are considering as a company code currency. It means you don't have a parallel currencies concept. What is a parallel currencies? What is basically a parallel ledger? Parallel ledger in the sense, when we are posting a transaction, I want the transactions to get updated in all the relevant ledgers, parallel ledgers, in order to view my financial statements at different levels. As I said, parallel ledger, we will be creating a parallel ledger. Either it is a non-leading ledger or extension ledger, just for some specific reason, right? Some specific reason. So in order to achieve that, we will be maintaining separate settings for the same, right? So it means whenever I'm posting a transaction, it is updating in different ledger. Similarly, in the case of parallel currencies, I want the transactions to be updated not only in the company code currency, I want the transactions to be updated in other currencies as well, which is what we call it as parallel currencies. It was not there prior to new GL. Okay, it is there from new GL. Now Why do we require a parallel currencies? Again, it is for reporting purpose. Again, it is for reporting purpose. It means I have a global current company in US, whereas our company codes in different countries. Our company codes are there in different countries. We have one in India, Singapore, one in Australia, one in Malaysia. Let's assume. So each country company code will follow their local currency, their regular currency. It means they can view each of these company codes can view their financial reports in their local currency. But if I want to see, if I want to see my financial statement at a group company level, it means I want to see all my records in USD. How do I get that? So I can get this with the help of parallel currencies. Now, whenever I activate the parallel currencies, I have to tell the system, how do you want that to be considered? So for that reason, we will come back here and maintain currency conversion settings for company codes. It means I have company global currency and I have hard currency. Now I have to tell the system my hard currency should be based on my company code currency. It means what is my company code currency and what is my hard group currency. Suppose my group currency is USD and my company code currency is my company code currency is INR. So the moment I post a transaction in INR, it updates not only in INR, it also updates in USD based on the conversion rate. So I am giving the logic over here, which how are we doing that? How are we doing that? What is the exchange rate that we will be considering? We need a we need an exchange rate. It means INR is not equals to USD. INR is not equals to USD. It means 100 INR equals to 100 USD. It's not the case, right? We will have some conversion. So whenever I'm posting a transaction of 1000 rupees in India, in Indian company code, maybe it will be 100 USD, 100 US dollars. So it means that conversion is required. So we will have to maintain that parallel currencies, whatever the currencies, additional currencies that we are maintaining, all have to be maintained over here. Whether it is index based currency, whether it is company, I mean global company currency, or whether it is hard currency, whether it is global currency, whatever it is, we will have to maintain over here. And what is the conversion? What is the base that you want to consider? You want to consider document currency or company code currency? Which one do you want to consider? Suppose if I say document currency, let me give an example. This is very important point. This is part of parallel currencies only. Just I'm trying to give you that part. Suppose if I say my base currency type as document currency. Let's say we are posting in Indian company code, okay, and the currency is INR. Our global currency is USD, okay. And first example, first scenario, if my document currency is INR, what is INR here? INR is my Indian company code currency. It means company code currency. Okay. So the moment I'm posting 1000 Indian rupees, so INR, and I have activated the parallel currencies. It means my global currencies, my global considered what I've considered as 30, which is nothing but USD. Now, as soon as I've posted a document in the document currency, which is nothing but company code currency, what happens is INR gets converted into USD. We will maintain an exchange rate here, and based on that, it gets converted into $100. Suppose scenario 2. Now, my document currency is something else. Let's say my document currency is AUD. I'm posting 1000 AUD. Now, do you want the AUD to be converted directly into USD? Or how do you want the global currency to be updated? How do you want the global currency to be updated? Do you want AUD as base for the USD conversion? Or do you want always the company code currency as a base for converting into a global currency? If you consider this way, I mean, the company code currency into a global currency, and if you are posting any transaction on INR, directly it considers this. INR, what is the exchange rate we maintain between INR and USD? Based on that, it the global currency will be derived. Now, if I consider AUD, and if I say still my company code currency as conversion, what happens is AUD first gets converted into INR. AUD first gets converted into INR, and from there INR gets converted into USD. Okay, so the first scenario is company code currency to global currency. So in this case, if I consider INR, directly it gets updated. But if I consider, it means INR is going to be my company code currency as well as document currency here in this. So directly it gets converted into USD. But suppose if my document currency is other than the company code currency, if my currency is AUD, what happens in this case? It first converts the AUD into INR. It means we will have to maintain an exchange rate between AUD and INR. Okay, we have to maintain exchange rate between AUD and INR so that the currency, the value of AUD will be converted into INR. And from there, INR will be converted into USD. Suppose if I say the second case, document currency to global currency. Now, in this case, the first scenario will be if my document currency is same as INR, there is no problem. Since we have the same thing, it gets updated. But if my document currency is other than INR, so if my document currency is AUD will be converted into USD directly. So there is no mediation. So there is no other currency to convert the value of document currency into the global currency. So it gets converted directly between AUD and USD based on the exchange rate maintained in this combination. This is the most important point. Any questions? Hope no questions. Fine. So this is what basically the parallel currencies concept. Okay, it means we are maintaining the currencies not only at the company code currency, but also in the other currencies in order to meet certain reporting requirements. certain reporting requirements. Okay, so this is what the conversion process. Now we have to do that part since we have activated global currency and it is not there here in this, we have to maintain the same thing. It means for our company code, we need to maintain the currency 30 and what should be the base currency. It can be a 10 company code currency or you can consider the document currency. Whatever the currency we want, we can mention over here. And here exchange rate type. Why do we require this exchange rate type? Because what is the exchange rate that you want to consider? We will maintain the exchange rate between INR USD or AUD to INR, AUD to USD in the exchange rate type. This exchange rate type we will be maintaining in a transaction code called OB08. Okay, we will be maintaining that in OB08. So based on our settings, now someone is there in this. Okay, so let me get into that now. Okay, so define settings for ledgers and currency types, just execute. Now here currency types we have seen and global currency conversions of course we have seen, and this is the one we need to maintain all our parallel currencies. So once we maintain over here, I'm just going into new entry because we are not finding our entries. So going into new entries for our company code, the group currency, we are considering one of the parallel currencies, which is nothing but group currency 30. And what should be my base currency type. Okay. So group currency and company code currency. Or you can consider 00, which is nothing but document currency, but we will have to maintain the exchange rate. This is based on the client's requirement. So 1248, I'm selecting so group currency, take 30 as group currency, and here the source currency. If you see over here, do you want to consider document currency or company code currency? If you consider as a document currency, make sure the exchange rate is maintained between the document currency and global currency. If you don't maintain, system will throw up an error saying exchange rate is not maintained. So you have to make sure that the relevant exchange rates are maintained. Even in the case of company code currency also you have to maintain. So if I select 10 company code currency and exchange rate type, as I mentioned, we have different exchange rate types. P for planning, M for average. This is what normally we will maintain. So by default, system will consider exchange rate type as M. And if you want to consider a different exchange rate type, of course you can consider. So I'm just selecting M over here, and translation date. What is the date that do you want to consider? So document date, it means in a transaction, if we have a document date filled in, then system will consider the document date, and whatever the exchange rate is maintained on this date will be considered. Suppose I'm maintaining the document date as, I have my document date as 1st June, let's assume, and posting date as 10th June, whereas I'm saying as translation date as 15th June. Now, if I select over here document date, it means whatever the currency that is, whatever the exchange rate maintained on this date, that will be considered. It means if I say INR to USD, it is 100 INR equal to 10 USD. If I just mention this as on 1st June, and here if I say 100 INR equals to 8 USD, if I say 100 INR equals to 5 USD, I'm just giving an example. Okay. Now, if I consider here document date, then what happens is, though I'm posting a transaction on 10th June, system will not consider this exchange rate. System will consider the exchange rate based on the document date because we have selected here. Now, if I select posting date, the posting date, whatever we considered, whatever the exchange rate maintained on that particular date, that will be considered. And the next is a translation date. In a transaction, if you enter a translation date, system will consider accordingly. Though our posting date is of 10th June, still it will consider this exchange rate. If you don't enter the translation date, and here we have selected translation date, by default system considers posting date as a translation date. So normally we will consider translation date. It means with this what happens is, you have two options. If you want, you can specifically mention the date, which currency, which exchange rate type that you want to consider by entering the date in the translation date field while posting the transaction. Or if you don't enter anything in the translation date, by default system consider the posting date. So if you see over here in the transaction, I'm just entering FB01, you can see translation date. If you enter a translation date, system considers the transaction accordingly, exchange rate. But if you don't enter anything, system will consider posting date. Okay, that is the meaning of the this one: document date, posting date, and exchange rate. So normally we will consider exchange rate because the translation date, because if you enter anything in the translation date, system will consider accordingly. Otherwise, system considers the posting date. So just select the same thing and save it. Now after this, if I go and post the transaction, So once we post a transaction, it updates in the company code currency, and also it updates in the global currency 30. And 30 is the value that gets updated based on the exchange rate type maintained between company code currency and the global currency. And we have two other ledgers, right? Apart from our leading ledger, we have one non-leading ledger, and we have some one extension ledger. So it means whenever I'm posting a transaction, I can able to see in these two currencies and in those three ledgers. So let me post a transaction now, and we will see all these changes, and we will see whatever the configuration we have completed, we will see each and everything. So let us post a transaction. Fine, done. So let's go back. So let us maintain, let's post this transaction. So f dash 02, we have seen the path. I'm just entering the same details. Okay, I'm just entering the same. So SA is our document type. Company code is 1248. Posting date period comes automatically based on the posting date currency. Now here we have posting key 40, 40 for debit. The expenditure I'm taking, amount I'll say 7,500. Currency I'll put 6,000. I will say text as expenses, and 50 credit GL account with bank account, selecting same 7,500, taking same text. So go to document, simulate, and just post. If everything is perfect, see 40 is for debit, 50 is credit. We are debiting the expenses and crediting the bank account. Save it. You have a document number. If you want to see the document, you can directly go from here to go to, we can go to a display or change, or we have a separated transaction code FB02 and FB03. So here you have an option FB02, FB03. So display document, easy access, accounting, financial accounting, general ledger, document, and FB03 display. Select the document, company code, currency, so you can see the same document. You can see the same document. Now on the top you have display currency. Okay, display currency, just select that. You can see now three options. document currency, local currency, group currency. Our document currency is USD, so we can see in USD, and our company code currency, of course, again the same currency USD. You can see in the same currency, and even our global currency, sorry, group currency, it is the same USD. So once we add hard currency, then you will find the difference. But here we are not finding anything. So the parallel currency valuation can be seen from here. Just select the display currency and you can choose the one that you want. Just close this. Now the ledgers. Coming to the ledger. So ledger, in order to see the ledger, first select the ledger view. We have a document splitting concept, right? We have a document splitting. Now, the document gets split based on the cost center and profit center. Profit center, not even the cost center. We have characteristics in the case of document splittings. Those are, we can split based on the profit center, we can split based on the business area, and even we can split based on the segment. But we have selected profit center as a base, so you can see now here. Right. So here we should not get the zero balance clearing account. The zero balance clearing account will come into picture only when you have a different profit centers. Debit one profit center, credit another profit center. In such a case, we should be having the zero balance clearing account, but here we are getting not sure. I'll have to check that. I'll go back and see what exactly the problem is. Okay, so it means whenever you have a different profit centers in the transaction, you can find zero balance clearing account. You can find zero balance clearing account. But in this case, the profit centers are same, so we should not have the profit centers. We should not have the zero balance clearing account. Right. The next thing is you can go back to see the entry view, and if you want to see the general ledger view. Now, if you see over here, you can see in the general ledger view, you can see a ledger with 0L, 0L. We can see at a zero level, 0L, nothing but leading ledger. Now, if you want to see the other ledgers, select other ledger. Okay. Now here we have, apart from 0L, we have AL, BL. So AL, select AL, and here you can see ledger in AL. We can see in ledger AL. Then select again other ledger, and here select BL. You can see the BL. See here, if you see posted in ledger 0L. Why we can see this? Because our underlying ledger is 0L. Because our underlying ledger is 0L. Okay, so you can see the leading ledger, you can see non-leading ledger. Okay, you can see non-leading ledger, and you can see extension ledger. So you can find this in all other ledgers. Any questions here? All these three ledgers are linked to our company code. Let me show you that. Okay, when you go into ledger, double clicking on ledger, Okay, so 0L, if I select 0L, double click on company code settings, and we can find our company code here, 1248. Now, similarly, if I select AL and double click on company code settings, I can see 1248. 1248 we have. Okay, next is BL, double click on company code currencies. Here also we can see 1248. 1248. Okay, 1248. Clear? Now double click on this thing. You can see, select here, the, just go to details. Why I don't know, the double click should work here. Now what is our calendar fiscal year? What is our posting period? And currency type 10, company code currency, source currency going to be document currency. It means if I enter a document currency other than the company code currency, it gets converted into currency, company code currency 10 based on the exchange rate. Now in the case of group currency 30, it should be updated based on 10. How did we get this 10 field here? Based on the currency conversion settings we maintained here in the configuration. The currency conversion settings in that we have maintained for 30. How do you want the data to be converted? So we mentioned it as 10 company code currency, and if you select over there 00, nothing but document currency, the same gets updated over here. It happens automatically. Here for our company code, one two four eight. You can see here 30 and 10. If you change here 00, there also you can find 00. Next, this is what about parallel currencies and parallel ledger. Now if you see over here this document number, how did we get this document number? The document type can be seen here in the header level, document header level. Here in the document header level, you can see all document date, posting period, whatever we have entered on the top, all will be considered as a header information. And here you can find who has entered, what time, what date, everything can be seen here, right? Next, the document type is SA. Now to this SA, we have maintained a number range. To this document type SA, we have maintained a number group, I will say, and to that number group, we have a number range. Okay, I'm just going into the document type, define document types, selecting SA, double click on SA. This is the number group. To this number group, we have maintained a number range. You can see it from here, or you can do it from the next step. Number ranges, document number ranges, define document number ranges. Our company code is 1248. Just select intervals here 0, 1. And for this 0, 1, the range is 1 followed by zeros, 1 followed by all nines. So this is what the number range. This is what the number system picked up. Okay, the latest status showing as 1 all zeros 1. This is an internal. It means after posting the transaction, system is giving the number range. In the case of external, we will have to enter that manually. Okay, that's the one thing. The next thing is on the document type SA. Here you can see exchange rate type for foreign currency documents. Here it is mentioned as M. If you don't enter anything, system always considers as M. If you want to consider a different exchange rate type, we have discussed just little while ago. What are these exchange rate types? Suppose if I want to consider for all my plannings, I want to consider, or in another way I can say, for all my purchases, I want to consider one exchange rate, and for all my sales, I want to consider a different exchange rate. How can I make a differentiation? Suppose in the case of purchase, 100 INR equals to 10 USD, but in the case of sales, 100 INR equals 15 USD. How can I make such difference? That is because of this exchange rate type. So in such a case, what I will do, I'll create two exchange rate types, M and some X. In the case of M, I'll maintain the selling, while at the time of selling, what is the exchange rate that I want to consider, I can keep. And for purchases, I'll maintain the exchange rate for X. Okay, so that way I can differentiate the exchange rates. That's the meaning. If I don't enter anything over here, system will consider M as default. Now the other thing is required during document entry. Reference number, document header text. What are these? In the case of while posting the transaction, we have not entered any reference. If you go here in the header level, you can see reference, you have not entered anything. Where is that reference? Here is the reference. Where is the document header text? This is the one. We have not entered anything. Okay. So while posting the transaction, I'm just entering the again. Okay, here reference, here header text. I'm not entering anything, and if I enter, system is allowing me, but business wants something to be entered there. And suppose sometimes user may forget to post this thing. Now business wants that to make it as a required. Now here at the document type level, we will do. So here at the document type, I can put both of them as required and save. Now, if you go back and see, you can find that difference. As long as your document type is SA, system expects the same thing. Now you see 40, and I'm just entering. Now press enter, you can see. For document type SA, an entry is required in the field of header text. I'm just entering header text. Okay, enter. Again, it is saying field reference. So until and unless I enter something in this, it will not allow me to move proceed. Any questions?
Nanda?
Yes.
Who enters those exchange rate in those exchange rate table, or is it the finance FICO
Finance
guy
people,
or basis
finance,
guy?
finance people will enter. There are two options in this case. You can enter manual in OB08. Once you go here in OB08, you can enter OB08 basically will be in the SPRO, in the screen, but you have an option to enter over here in the easy access. You have an option in the current settings, exchange rate. This is the one. Okay, s underscore bc underscore 68000174 is the transaction. Once we here, we will have to take the exchange rate type, and what is the valid date, and what is the exchange rate, exchange between gbp and euro. What is direct quotation, what is indirect quotation, we will discuss. So we will maintain a direct quotation, and based on that system will consider whatever the exchange rate is maintained here, it happens. This is the manual approach. You will have to go into new entries and maintain the same thing. Or if you have some hundreds of data to be loaded, normally we will maintain daily exchange rates. Big organizations always maintain, daily exchange rates. Okay, how do we do that? If it is some thousands of transactions that to maintain per day, it is a cumbersome. So in such a case, we have some interfaces. We will have to use some interfaces. And there are certain companies, I mean some other organizations provide the exchange rates. Onda, OANDA is one of those companies. Onda gives the exchange rates daily, whatever the time we specify, right? They will send across the file into our SAP. SAP in the sense, there is a transaction code called AL11, AL11. The file will go and sit in the AL11 in a required directory. Now the ABAP program, using the ABAP program, the program will pick up the file from the directory and pushes into SAP. The moment it pushes into SAP, you can find the exchange rates over here. So that's the automate process, and the other one is manual process. This is purely a business activity. We are not going to do, as a consultant, we are not going to do this. OB08, you will find it in the easy SPRO side. Similarly, for open and close periods, we have OB52, but OB52 you can find it in the SPRO. You can see it here in the this one. You can see here in the exchange rates here. Sorry, you can see here it in the easy access. Okay, so I don't want to keep them as a required, just I'm removing, saving, back. Okay, here it is saying as GL accounts. Now I'm deselecting it. I'm just mentioning it as materials. Now what happens? System will throw up an error. See, B01 SA. I'm entering 40 and I'm entering GL. So document type S is not defined for document type SA. What is S? S stands for GLs, M stands for materials, D stands for customers, K stands for vendors. Okay, S is not allowed for document type SA. So this is basically, the standard setting. Okay, now I want to show you OB52 and as well as the other one. Field status here posting. What I'm trying to do now is the field status. No, not the field status. Sorry. Let's get into a ledgers posting period. What I'm trying to do now. I want to show you OB52, right? So posting periods. Okay, posting periods. Here we have posting periods, open and close posting periods, execute here. Of course, we have seen this already. The transaction code you can see is OB52. This is in the SPRO configuration, IMG configuration. Similarly, for exchange rate, of course, we will be discussing that as part of the parallel currencies. As part of parallel currencies, we can discuss this as well, but still I want to show you where we can maintain. We will maintain that in the currencies. Within these currencies, check currency codes, decimal place, and check exchange rate types, enter exchange rates. These are all the steps that are required as part of foreign currency valuations. Now here you have enter exchange rates, and you can see OB08. This is basically OB08, but here we are not finding the transaction code, but OB08 is this basically. But still, even though you have these two transactions on the SPRO front, we can make these available in the production system. You remember one point in the in the development system, you have an option, you have an option to enter here using the new entries. But in the quality and production system, all the transactions which are there in the SPRO will not available to modify. All will be in display mode. You will not have new entries, but still OB52 and OB08 can be available to enter. So you need a required authorizations. The basis people will make that thing happen. That too, only few people, not everyone will have these access. Okay. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions until here? So the fiscal year, how it helps the fiscal year based on the posting date, it triggers. I'm just entering the same thing. If I say, like, I'm just selecting here 9. Now here it says as 7. I'm just removing. I'm just selecting the date. I'm just entering something, some information here. I want to show you based on the date. I've selected for September. Now if I go and simulate it here, now you see based on the posting date, system is triggered the period. This happens based on the fiscal year. This is based on the fiscal year. So in the fiscal year what we have maintained for our company code 1248, it is K4. K4 is calendar year. Now, what are the properties we have in the case of K4? K4, select K4, and if you see periods, it is not allowing. Why? Because it is based on the calendar. And I'm saying as a 12 periods. It means January is going to be, since it is a calendar year, January is going to be my first period, December going to be my last year, which is nothing but 12 period, 12th period. So based on this fiscal year variant, system recognizes the posting period. So the posting period will be determined based on the posting date, not based on the document date. If you see over here, posting date by default, the translation date. If I don't enter anything in the translation date, posting date will be considered as my translation date. Back.
Can you go to the bank line, Nanda? So here I see the cost center and the cost object and everything. In reality, it should be grayed out, right? Based on
It
field
will be
status.
based, yeah, based on the field status. That happens based on the field status. Here, for this GL account, 1,20,000 1 to followed by zeros has a field status, and that field status group has all these fields available. It does not mean to have all these be grayed out. You can keep them open. There is no harm at all, right? There is no harm at all. We can keep, of course, that's totally a business call. If the business does not want all these to be available, we can just keep them as suppress.
So if you enter cost center, does it give you the message or anything?
No,
What it does?
it will not allow you to post this transaction.
Okay, okay. Because sometimes users don't think and they, oh, I entered there, I have to enter here too because it's open for me to enter.
Now, again, that cost center is allowed based on the field status group whatever we have assigned to this GL account.
Okay.
That particular field status group has a cost center allowable, then it allows, right? That
Mm,
way you can consider, you can make it as. And moreover, the important thing is this GL account is not a cost element.
right.
That's important. Okay, so what I was trying to tell you is, what did we do? Yeah, based on the field state fiscal year variant, system recognizes the posting period, and posting date is the base for determining the posting period. Then, yeah, the posting periods. Now if you see over here, open and close posting periods, just execute 1 to 4 8. Here it mentioned as plus and D. It mentioned plus and D. What is D here? D is customers. Okay, account types. These are called account types. Now D. Suppose I'm just removing this part, the plus. I'm saving. Okay, I have just D. Now, what I'm going to do, I'll post a transaction. I'll try to post a transaction. FB01. Now, I'm entering some dates, entering posting key, debit expenditure, and it is saying posting period 7 is not open. Why it is saying? Because we don't have plus at all here. We don't have plus. Plus is for masking. Now I'm just entering plus, and I will say one to sixth period of 2019. Yeah, for masking, of course, we don't require. sorry. Yeah. So here I'm just saving. Now I'm saving. So what is the basic setting now? Plus has 1 to 6 periods open, whereas for D, 1 to 12 are open. Now let me try to post a transaction here using the current date. B01, enter the date, enter the posting key, enter the expenditure. Now it is saying still posting period is not open. Why? Because the period is mentioned there until 6th. Here it is mentioned until 6th period. Okay, it allows based on that. Now I'm putting the other one. I'm just selecting account to type S. S stands for GL. S stands for GL. Now here I'm entering all 0, 1 to 20 and 6th period 1 to 2019. Now what I will be doing for place I'll keep until 12. Save. Saving. Going back to the document, posting the document FB01, selecting some data and selecting the posting date, posting key and account. Now the moment I enter, it is still saying that. What does it mean? It means when you have, when you don't have S, system will consider plus. But when you have a specific account to type, system first checks this, and if this does not, if this satisfy, system will post. And if that does not satisfy, then it will go and check the plus one. It goes and checks the plus one. Now I'll show you the other logic. Now here I'm taking 6 and here I'm taking 7. It means as per S, it allows me to post 7, but as per masking, it should not be allowed. Now it will not allow you to post the document. Let me show you that. Going back to B01, selecting the date, the moment I say it is saying it is not open, it is not allowing because not only this should be allowed, it also should be allowed here. Whenever I'm posting a transaction, if you don't have the account to type and if you have just masking, it checks the whether the period is open and acts accordingly. If at all you have a relevant account to type, it checks whether the period is open. If it is okay, then it allows. And it is allowing, but if it is not allowing this, it will not stop. It will stop. It will not post. And if at all you have uh, this one is open and this is not open, it will stop. It means ultimately what I'm trying to tell you is whenever you want to post a transaction, both masking and the relevant account types are to be open. So when do we use this masking? I want, I'm keeping, means we are in the 7th period, I'm opening 7th period. Let's say I'm opening 8th period, we are in August now, but still I'm keeping the GLs as 7 only, whereas my customers I'm opening until 8. What does it mean? It means I want my business users to continue to post customer transactions, but I don't want my users to post GL transactions for the period of August because I still have some more transactions to be posted for the period 7. So I'm still not opening 8th period. So if you want to restrict among the transactions, you can use plus for that. So if I just enter like this, plus has eighth period, D as eighth period, it means I can post only the customer transactions for the period of eighth, and all other transactions I cannot post August period transaction. That is the control we can make. So what I'm going to do is I'll put 12 in all the cases, and I'll also add I will also add K and A. Set. Okay. So we will discuss period 2 and period 3 later. Authorization group, as I mentioned earlier, okay, during this time we will discuss. There is a little configuration relating to this. I mean, just we can do the configuration, but it is based on the security team to assign the relevant authorization that we will discuss later.
So I have a quick question, Nanda.
Mhm.
If that posting period variant is assigned to the multiple company codes, how does that work? Like all the company codes are blocked for posting?
All company codes use the same properties what the posting period variant is assigned to. Suppose 1248 is our posting period variant. If it is assigned to, let's say, 100 company codes, all 100 company codes will have to follow the same properties whatever we have for this 1248.
Okay.
Any further questions? I think this is little heavy. I mean, the whole topic, whatever we have discussed, looks like little heavy. But I just want to know if at all you have any questions. Any further questions? Okay, fine. So for our company code 1248, how come it is possible without? Okay, I think we have created tolerance group. Am I right? Yes, tolerance group is created. So in the earlier versions, I'm not still sure about the tolerance group. Normally, we don't create any tolerance group, but this tolerance group maintenance of tolerance group is important. That is compulsory. Okay, but I still don't know about this thing. Tolerance group creation of tolerance group is mandatory as part of our settings. Okay, so here in tolerance group, we have maintained the amount per document, right? So if I just enter per line item, if I just enter 100, I'm saving it now. Now I'm posting a transaction FB01. So I'm just entering 7,050. Now, the moment I say here, should not, let me just simulate it and save it. Oh, it is allowing. It should not allow basically because here I have mentioned as 100. I think
Because it says open item account item. So this is
Oh,
GL
sorry,
is
sorry.
not open
Hold on.
account.
Oh, sorry, sorry. Yeah, let me just select 100 over here and go back to the same transaction. It should stop over here only. Yes, you may only post a document up to 100 US dollars. Okay, because the amount is more than this. Even if you enter 101, it will not allow you to post. So that is the importance of this tolerance group. Then yeah, of course, posting keys we have seen. Posting keys 40 and 50. If you see over here, 40 debit entry for GL accounts, 50 is credit entry for GL accounts. Okay, we have selected 40 and we have here when we go here, maintain field status. Okay, here we kept everything in the optional or suppress if you don't want certain fields. Now, in the case of reversal for 40 posting key, it will be 50. It means 40 becomes 50, 50 becomes 40. You see over here, 50 becomes 40. Now, I want to reverse a document. I want to reverse a document which I posted just now. Okay, I've posted a transaction FB03. Let's see what is that. This is the document I have posted now. How do we reverse? We don't have an option to delete. When do we reverse? Suppose I have posted a transaction and realized that there was some there were some issues. So what I will have to do in such a case, I'll have to reverse them. I'll have to reverse it. I don't have an option to delete, but I have an option to reverse. Individual reversal, mass reversal. So you have to be very careful in the case of mass reversal that we will discuss little later once we have some 20 documents or something. I'll post few documents today and tomorrow I'll show you the mass reversal. Okay, the individual reversal. The path is easy access, accounting, financial accounting, general ledger, document, and reverse individual reversal. Now, in this case, there are two important points. One is the document type of the original document, and the posting keys of the original document. These are the two important things. And what is the reversal? You want to do a reversal in the current period, or you want to do it in the wrong period. These are all the created ones. I'm just selecting wrong posting, and if you want to see the reversal, the document before reversal, you can see and you can select just to save. On saving it, system will consider two things: document type and posting periods. Document type and posting keys. Okay, document posted. Now, if I'm going into a display, now if you see here, earlier 40 office expenses 50 Bank of America. But now 40 became 50 here, 50 became 40. How did this happen? This is based on the posting key configuration. Of course, we have not done anything, but it is a standard. In the case of 40, reversal posting key is 50. And in the case of 50, reversal posting key is 40. That is the reason. And the other thing is the document type. If you go here in the document type, we have considered document type SA, and if you see for SA, you have reversal document type is AB, and whatever the document number range we have for AB, the same will be picked up. Now let me see what is the number range we have for AB. AB, I'm just selecting here. Again, the number range is 0, 1. So because of that, you can see the same number range here. You can see the same series 1 followed by 0 series. If you have a different number group here, then system will consider the number range. System will pick up the number from that group. Any questions? Okay,
Anand,
yeah. So what happened? Only 3. How about the others?
I think they just got dropped off like 5 minutes ago.
Okay, fine. Anyways, so just go through this recording. This recording is very important, and we will continue parallel currencies tomorrow. Okay, thank you.